Okay, um, just so that I can go ahead and test for integrating the relay switch into the you know agricultural project control systems. I just wanted to run a quick test, and I found an old DC motor that I ripped out of a piece of junk, just to mess around with. Have some other projects and stuff that I could just kind of play with. Um, and so I have my app here that I did through the MIT App Inventor. Now this is their default app, so I didn't write this. It's just their default app, so I can experiment. But you remember, pressing the buttons will control, or before, would control the LEDs, right? And I replaced the yellow LED by connecting this motor to the microcontroller. Okay, and well, actually, it's connected to the relay, as well as the pin coming out of the or I'm sorry, it's just connected to the relay. The relay is connected to the pin where the other LED was, right? So this pin right here was the yellow LED. And so that yellow cable traces back here to the switch or the relay, right? And the relay goes back here to my power, right? Okay. So it's powered up by standard voltage, right? So that's controlled here to add power to this relay. The relay's function is controlled by this pin 23, which is controlled by this button number 3, right? And so button 1 will be my green LED. Button 2, my red LED. And if I don't get embarrassed here, button 3 is my motor, right? And so that little click sound that you heard was the relay here, right? So this now I know could represent maybe a water pump, a light system that I could turn on and off, something like that. And this is not being powered through the microcontroller, which very well, could be done, but you want more stable power. So I have this power module here, right, which I put on a 5-volt output versus a 3.3-volt output. There's that jumper there, one on each side. So that 5 volts output is enough power output to power the switch. All right. At 3.3 volts, what I was finding was there wasn't really, I think, enough power going through the system, so the switch would stick, or it would cause, for some reason, my app to just randomly disconnect. So I think maybe it's trying to draw power, somehow maybe it's getting some type of feedback or something through this other pin. I don't know. I don't know that much about these types of systems to troubleshoot on that level. But I can say with certainty that I have realized that the 5-volt output here works absolute best. And if I put an LED on this yellow cable here on this pin 23 as an indicator light for the motor, I'm having a bit of a power draw issue. I think with the signal, quite possibly, maybe it's too much on that pin. So I think I'm going to, I think it's called an if-then statement in the code. So if pin 23 is on high, right, which would mean that the motor is running when it's on high, then pin, say for instance number 20 or whatever, would then also go to high and turn on an LED as an indicator that the motor is running, right? And the importance for that is if you wanted to maybe either have an indicator light on the actual integrated system, so if this was a pump or maybe something that runs silently, some a bubbler, a watering mechanism for a planting system, something like that, you may want an indicator light to show that that system is running, right? Just for ease, so you don't have to like get up and walk over and check and all that other stuff. And also, it could be utilized for maybe a secondary sensor. So I could do if so while this is running, if a secondary sensor such as like a water level sensor is activated to a certain level, or a water detection meter set at a high point, so that when the water fills up and collapses the circuit on the water detection meter, then it would, if that happens, then, right, so that if then thing, it would go ahead and switch pin number 23 back to low, which would turn off the pumping mechanism, for instance. And so that my plan would be long term to have an indicator board on a grow system itself. So if I had a construct, it would be, say, a 3 by 10 foot grow system by, say, 5 feet tall with 20 rows, right? So it's a rectangle that's 7 feet high or 5 feet high. Then I would put a master indicator board on it, and so then each system running would have its own indicator light to state that it is running. And then, of course, if something were to shut down on the system, like undergrowth lighting, right? So you want to have like your main lighting, but then you can have undergrowth lighting running at certain times during the day, and that's going to be kind of a low intensity, low Kelvin, low light output. But it's just to get that, maybe cause your plants to kind of widen out a little bit, right, from like past research and whatnot. But you want to know that those systems are running and running well, and you don't want to have, say, a breakdown in communication for say maybe a visual output on your computer, but you would also have that redundant, right? You got to have redundant safety features. So you would have that redundant indicator light system running on your modular grow system itself, or whatnot. At least that's my plan. So, so here we go. One more step in the testing process, and so now it's just a matter of getting the grow system built and getting this thing wired up to start testing the first phase implementation. And I think what I'm going to do is disconnect this motor, and I'm going to I have an extra small water pump laying around, and so I'm going to install a water pump on this switch and set it on a timer, and see how it does. And, monitoring the soil within the grow system. I might do soilless. I don't know. I may have to get some stone and maybe do some growing in stone, just to keep the system as clean as possible. But I don't know. That's something for payday. I gotta pick up some materials. All right. Well, that's what I got so far, and we'll go ahead and see what's next.